without mentioning the Pride of South Marching Band. The Pride of South Marching Band went to this past week's state finals, seated 4th in the state out of 22 bands. And they knew that going into this day, they were expected to have anything but an easy time. As one of the drum majors, I can say that we left it all out there, our best performance all year, that all other 21 bands and spectators continue to talk about and praise throughout the night. But as we have learned throughout the years, life can throw many unforeseen curveballs. We ended up placing 10th this past weekend, but as we left the site, I can't tell you how many bands and how many parents from other schools came to congratulate us on a fantastic year. With this band, they were giants on the field, the talk of the state, with many people coming to watch them from all programs, with high praise from the nationally recognized programs of Avon and Brownsburg. They had the best regular season in all of Scholastic Class A marching, with 4 consecutive first place wins and numerous caption awards over bands, some of which were in the final top 5 in our class. In our preliminary performance, we received a gold rating with distinction in music and effect, having been off by 1/10 of a point for a distinction in visual. This past Friday, they performed at the Bands of America Super Regional at Lucas Oil Stadium and were the first band out of the 30 that performed before them to get a standing ovation from the entire stadium. The Pride of South has single-handedly promoted Terre Haute South and this great city. Our band has been recognized, praised, and viewed with anticipation from people all over the country, and they have proven to be an example at excelling not just in marching arts, but also in life. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that, and I've been hearing so many wonderful things about the band. I would love to see them again. Up next is West Vigo High School, and we have Mr. Ryan Easton, principal, to introduce their guests.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we've got one with us, Mr. Jack Newport. Welcome, Jack.
Good evening, President Killian, Superintendent Hayworth, and members of the board. My name is Jack Newport, sophomore representative of the Student Leadership Council for West Vigo High School. I am pleased to present to you guys our short update on the leadership events at West Vigo High School. First, we had our homecoming week, where students partook in a variety of activities prior to our homecoming games, such as hallway decorations, the parade, and our annual Power Puff game. During the hallway decorations, students would be able to decorate their hallways based on a theme that their class had decided upon. And the main priority was to boost the morale prior to our homecoming game. And I must say that the participation across all the classes was absolutely fantastic. In October, we will be hosting our Safe Trick-or-Treating, where community members will be able to gather at the school in order to trick-or-treat at stations set up by our teacher and student groups. The Leadership Council will be there present, and they will be serving chili to all the attendees there. In December, we will be hosting our Christmas extravaganza once more. It is a yearly drive-through of our holiday decorated parking lots. Students will be able to volunteer in order to set up those decorations, encouraging a lot of involvement within our community. And hopefully the weather will permit that Mr. Easton will not have to use any artificial snowmakers. Thank you for your time. That's all I have.
Thank you for that, young Mr. Newport. And those are many more reasons that we are proud of our students. And last but not least, we have Assistant Principal, Mr. Scott Moore, introducing his students from Terre Haute North.
Good evening. We have with us from Terre Haute North, Graydon Killian and Brianna Glover. We're going to highlight some of the great things going on at North High School.
Good evening, Superintendent Hayworth, President Killian, and members of the board. I'm Graydon Killian, the Student Council President of Terre Haute North. And this is Brianna Glover, and we're representing North Vigo High School. We are here to discuss the events that have occurred during October 2022 and the future developments of this November. To start off, North High School just held a blood drive this Thursday, October 20th. This was to help with the blood shortage, and that has been occurring, and so the students could be eligible for the scholarship for student body volunteering. From my seeing of the sheets, we got a really good filling out. We had everybody sign up, and so it was really good and successful. Although it was not technically in October, a big event that occurred was the homecoming pep session on September 30th. The event really helped student morale and showed school spirit. There was a parade that same evening, followed by North's homecoming football game. It was a massive success for the student section, and honestly, the spirit we saw there was absolutely beautiful. It was great. The student council has also begun discussing winter homecoming. The main points that we've discussed are the major theme idea, that being our holidays. And we have also put out our ideas for the theme dress-up dates, which are currently being voted upon by our student body. The next event in discussion is that of the Athletic Student Council. This year, North Vigo High School will be in charge of the state cross-country meet in which they will be parking cars and helping with other jobs as necessary. This event will be held on the 29th of October. And with that, I'll be turning it over to Brianna Glover.
Hey guys. Terre Haute North was proud to host the Polaris Awards recipients to share their stories in the auditorium. The dinner was hosted on that same evening. The Athletic Student Council welcomed the recipients as guests, and our students taking baking and pastry class prepared their dessert for dinner. The photography club was there taking pictures, and our advanced choir counterpoints performed as well. A big step forward for North was the choral department, who raised $800 for the Riley Children's Hospital through donations at the recent choral performance last week. We see this as a massive success, and we hope that we can continue to do more things like this in the future. Lastly, North Vigo High School plans to attend the food drive competition between North, South, and West, not only for the trophy, but to help with the food situation in the community, which is our utmost priority. That is all that has occurred this October and our future developments for November this year at Terre Haute North Vigo. We would like to thank Dr. Hayworth and the school board for giving us an opportunity to share our developments with you. We hope you all have a great evening, and we humbly look forward to informing you next month.
Well, I for one would love to know what your favorite song was from the Pride of South, Mr. Drum Major. What was the best number that you did?
The best number, probably Kickstart My Heart. The Fed movement. That was something to be proud of.
I'm sure they were all crowd pleasers. Thank you.
Most definitely, absolutely.
I've had the pleasure of hearing the band and watching the band, and they don't disappoint. And shout out to all the parents and teachers, all the faculty involved with the color guard, all the special different brass sections. I mean, the dancing, the props. I mean, their theme's heavy metal, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and it's so cool. So congrats.
We also had a shout out about that Rotary, or that Interact Club fundraiser at the choral concert, because they were branching out, and that was very creative, because they typically, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, go to football games and do that at breaks. You can tell I'm into sports ball, right? At breaks. Oh my gosh. Halftime.
They get technical.
But anyway, my understanding was there was someone from Riley that came and spoke, and the choir sang underneath that. It was just a wonderful kind of experience.
Yeah, while we were performing, she came up and gave a beautiful speech, and we were told that they collected over double than what they normally do at football games. So that was a really big accomplishment for us and Riley Children's Hospital.
Music makes a difference, right?
It really does.
I have to also say that I managed to be at West Vigo during homecoming week, and I saw the most magnificent outfit on Principal Easton that I've ever seen. One croc and socks that had his face on it. So kudos to that school spirit, the Viking
You must have
pride.
been there on a biker game then.
Those are special socks.
Well, we always have to accentuate the creativity of all of the schools and the students. They come up with such great ideas and take it to their administrators there at the school or to some of the teachers, but so many things come, from the students' own ideas, and that's what I love. And we appreciate your bringing us on an update, and keep going with all of those great activities and accomplishments. We're very proud of you.
I think I can just say, definitely we're very proud of you, and it's great to have you here at the meeting this evening. But if there are things that the board can help you with, or you'd like to invite the board along to share in something with you, please don't hesitate to reach out. We love hearing from the students. So just want to let you know that.
Great job.
At this time, we're going to move on. Oh, I'm sorry, no. We're moving on to E, the Paracode Partnership presentation. This is Robin Toma, St. Mary of the Woods. Did I say that correctly?
Toma.
Toma, close.
And she has successfully defended her dissertation.
Yeah.
Dr. Toma.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm not sure I want to follow those star students, so well done to them. I am Dr. Robin Toma from St. Mary of the Woods College, and I am here tonight to talk about the Parent Educator Pathway Program. You can tell I'm a teacher, I want to move around already, so I'll try to stay here so everyone can hear me. So tonight I want to talk about the Para Pathway Licensure Program. It is an opportunity for St. Mary of the Woods College to partner with the Vigo County School Corporation and create a Grow Your Own program so that current paraprofessionals can earn teacher licensure. So this program will help stop the shortage of teachers in Vigo County and allow those people who maybe have always wanted to go back to school the opportunity to do so, to become teachers. So before I talk about our current partnerships, I do want to give you just a brief overview of the programs that we offer in the education department at St. Mary of the Woods. We do have 3 majors in the undergraduate program. 2 focus on dual licensure, so we have a preschool through 3rd grade mild intervention program. So candidates in this program earn licensure in general education and special education. We offer the same for the K through 6 level, mild intervention, and then we have an all-grade P through 12 mild intervention program. So all of our programs do have a focus on special education at the undergraduate level. These are the traditional 120 credit hour 4-year programs. We also have another pathway to earn teacher licensure. The Transition to Teaching program is for those candidates who currently have a bachelor's degree, and there are 4 areas that they can earn licensure in. The first is preschool through 3rd grade. The second is kindergarten through 6th grade. The third is secondary education, so for those people who want to earn licensure for in middle school to high school in maybe English or social studies or biology. And then we have an all-grade P through 12 mild intervention program. So the Transition to Teaching program, because people come in with a bachelor's degree, this program typically takes people a year to about a year and a half to complete. So it is a quicker pathway to licensure. Some program details. We have a couple of other partnerships throughout the state that I will discuss, but a lot of people ask how working paraprofessionals are able to earn licensure. And the way we offer that is because all of our classes are offered fully online. For those of you that have been around for a while, you know that St. Mary of the Woods College has a history of providing distance education and online education to students. So we currently have 131 students in our Woods Online program. And students in this program will take 6 credit hours per 8-week term, per semester, plus they'll take 6 hours in the summer, so they'll get a total of 30 credits per year. So it allows them to break up the credit hours and not have such a heavy load when they have the opportunity to take some credit hours in the summer. And then as part of this program, we do encourage or require all students to complete the FAFSA. And I know there's been a lot of talk about the FAFSA lately. It just opened on October 1st.
So students who would qualify for a discount will decrease the amount of the cost for the school corporation. And this program will be funded through ESSER dollars, that's how the program is going to be funded. So a little bit about our current partnerships. We currently have 3 partnerships throughout the state. The first partnership that I'm going to talk about is the Bartholomew Community School Corporation, which is located in Columbus. Their numbers are fairly similar to Vigo County, so they're a good comparison to talk about. They started the first cohort last October with 10 students. 7 students are still currently in the program. 1 student wasn't able to make the grade requirement, and a couple students felt challenged to balance school and work and family, so they withdrew from the program. But we still have 7 students successfully in the program. Cohort 2 actually just started today. They have 10 students in this cohort, and they have focused on transition to teaching students. The first cohort, they really focused on those students who wanted to earn licensure in special education. Then the second partnership is with Bloomington Schools. Their first cohort, again, started a year ago. They started with 17 total students, 11 at the Woods, and 6 started at Ivy Tech. The tuition at Ivy Tech is a little bit less than it is at the Woods, so they decided to start some of their students there depending on how many credit hours they came in with. So they are we still currently have 17 people in that program. And then cohort 2 is going to start in January. They are currently recruiting transition to teaching students for that program as well. And then Tippecanoe School Corporation in Lafayette just started their first cohort today. They have 4 students in the program, 2 starting at St. Mary's and 2 starting at Ivy Tech. So we have a total of, was a math teacher, 41 students, I think, in the partnership program currently. And then I do want to talk about some of the support that the other school corporations provide. We know that for candidates to be successful, they need a little bit of support. So the 2 biggest pieces that Bartholomew and Monroe schools provide are instructional coaches who are teachers in the buildings, and then they provide an administrative mentor where they meet with them monthly to answer any questions or provide any support that they need. And I think that has been part of the success of the program. St. Mary of the Woods College also provides 1 advisor for all of the students in the partnership program. So we help schedule their classes and we provide assistance. We meet with them at the beginning when they start their program to kind of give them some assistance on how to order textbooks and how to navigate the learning management system and really help them get started throughout the program. The school corporations do pay for tuition and books up directly to St. Mary of the Woods College. We have found that for some people wanting to go back to school to be teachers, that funding is a barrier, and a lot of programs require the students to pay for that first semester up front and then get reimbursed. With this program, with these programs, the schools pay St. Mary of the Woods directly. So there isn't any out-of-pocket expenses for the students. The only thing that they're required to pay are the licensure tests, and then once they pass, they will get reimbursed for that. So it is helpful that the students do not have any out-of-pocket expenses to start the program. So goals for the Vigo County School Corporation, they are looking at open and recruitment with a focus on principal recommendations. So there isn't one particular content area or grade level that they are going to specifically recruit for. It's really across the board. The goal is for the first cohort to begin in January of 23. There has been discussion about students starting at Ivy Tech. If students have under 40 credit hours, they will start at Ivy Tech, or more than 40 credit hours, they will start with us at the Woods. That is just kind of a general guideline. It will depend on what credits they come in with. If they have 40 credits in maybe business, where it doesn't transfer into St. Mary of the Woods College, then they will go ahead and start at Ivy Tech. So we would do a transcript review to look at the courses they currently have, and then we will work with Ivy Tech to make sure that the courses that they take would transfer to St. Mary's, so they're not taking classes that they wouldn't need to finish their program. The expectation is that candidates will maintain a 3.0 GPA and that they will commit to teaching for 3 years in the Vigo County School Corporation after degree completion. So that's just kind of a brief overview of the program. Dr. Janet Clark is here from St. Mary of the Woods College as well. So we would be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the program.
Are there any limitations to the reimbursement for licensure tests? Like if you've got somebody who's really excellent and wants to take multiple content exams, are there?
That would be up to the school corporation. I would guess the more areas that the candidates are licensed in is positive, unless there's a specific area they want them to stay in, maybe, and then they would want to pay for the additional content areas, so.
This is to start in January
Yes,
2023.
yes, that is the goal.
I think it's a good program, and it's seemingly very needed this time. I was glad, I like the goals, not only the grade requirement, which I think is important, but then the dedication to 3 years of service. I think it's good too. So I'm glad that St. Mary's is stepping out to all these other corporations as well as ours, and I think it'll be a good collaboration.
Our next step would be to bring our parents for a call-out meeting, see what interest there is, and then if there is interest, come back to you on the 14th of November and ask for official approval.
Do you provide prior running credit, or parents have been doing something above and beyond in the schools that they might be able to earn prior running credit?
We do. So for their field experience course, they could earn credits, yes.
What's the estimated cost for paraprofessional?
So.
Assuming they have 40 credit hours, I guess.
Well, you are a math teacher, so you might have to do the math. Our credits are $496 per credit hour. So it would depend, of course, on if they start at Ivy Tech or they start with us, but.
Yeah, I've always thought this would be an interesting program, and then, maybe if this flourishes, you start focusing on seniors in high school who want to be teachers, and keeping them in our school corporation. I've always thought that would be something interesting to look into on what kind of investment we could make in our current students. But this is a good start with the paraprofessionals, and then maybe trickle on down to students and
We got that going.
You should say that. We are doing that within the state, so you're ahead of your time.
Sorry, Dr. Tomlin.
It's all right.
I have a funding question. We said this was being funded through ESSER dollars. Do we know what section of that funding this qualifies for? If you need to get back to us on that,
I
that's
couldn't
kind
speak
of
to
Robert or
that.
Donna.
We'd have to get back to you. What we would have to do, we would have to amend our application to add this program to our application as an allowable expense. But really what brought my attention to it were my good friends in Bartholomew County was leveraging a school in my county to get teachers licensed, and that's really what brought that conversation about. But yeah, we can get back to you to see.
Yeah, I'm just curious what section that falls under. That'd be helpful. Thank you.
That is what the other schools are using as well, so.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman.
You're welcome. Thanks. And I, as a former Vigo County teacher, I am very excited about this partnership. So I would love to see more teachers go into Vigo County and teach and fill some of those gaps that we have and get teachers in the classroom. So thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Can I ask one more question?
Yep.
If there's like we have an education assistant or something who enrolls before this gets going, can they kind of like back into it and qualify so that like the rest of it is covered, or does they have to like start right at the beginning?
So if I moved into a transition to teaching program somewhere else.
Or they started at your school, but started now instead of January 23, would they be able to kind of get grafted into it, I guess is my question.
From our perspective, yes, that would be an easy move for us to make, so, yes.
No, I'm sorry.
Easy peasy.
All right, thank you.
move on to our consent agenda.
Which I move to approve.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments from the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and abstain. Next, we have the October accounts payable docket and the finance report. Mrs. Donna Wilson.
President Killian, excuse me, President Killian, Dr. Hayworth, and members of the board. The Finance Committee did meet last Thursday afternoon with all board members on that committee present, and they did pull several claims, and I'm just going to review a few of those claims. The full report was sent out in written format to all board members on Friday. One claim pulled was the Committee for Children, $32,241.60. That is the licensing for our Second Steps program, which is our grade K through 8 research-based elementary counselor activity program, and that is grant funded through Project Aware. Educational Furniture Limited, $372,633.60. That was for the rest of the classroom furniture that was purchased on an open bid for Otter Creek Middle School. That paid for 640 tables, 1,280 chairs, and the labor to put all those things together along with some miscellaneous items. Follett Content Solutions, $17,822.80. Those were for library books for about 12 schools. Each year our schools are given library book budgets, and that was a partial payment on their purchases. Joint, $813,233.55. This one is an interesting claim because it's several parts. All our claims are grouped together, so the check run lists the total. That included installation of access points and recurring connectivity services under the GEARS grant. That was about $698,000. The monthly internet service for the school corporation after E-rate subsidy, $17,977.55 from the operations fund, and $44,045 and $52,915 for the licensing that it takes to run our software that we use to access our thin clients. So that was an annual agreement. Those come out of the education fund dollars. To piggyback on that one item, it was also requested that we do a presentation, or that you have a presentation in the future from Josh Zerner from Joink and Doug Miller from our own IT department. And I think that will be an interest in an upcoming meeting to talk more about GEARS and the initiatives that that has provided. Lakeshore Learning, $37,604.02. That was for classroom materials from the Early Intervention Fund, Build, Learn, Grow Grant, Title II, and Child Care Desert Grants for that's a United Way grant, and that company is out of Carson, California. That was asked. Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, $7,435. That was tuition for the fall quarter for students involved in our GEO grant. Tyler Technology, $71,796. That's annual maintenance support for transportation and an upgrade to our GeoTab device, annual plans for our bus camera system, and that's paid from the operations fund. I also provided a status update on our 3 large bid projects, paving, roofing, and HVAC, and that was also included in the email response to the Finance Committee.
So Mrs. Laura, I'll ask the same question as last time. I know you were trying to
Motion.
We have a motion for approval.
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board?
I know Mrs. Laura has been trying to drum up some public response and to come to the Finance Committee meetings. Were you successful?
I was. We had 2 community members present for the
Awesome.
meeting, so.
Yes, I think we've mentioned at almost every board meeting, that it is it is a public meeting, and we would like people to attend.
We talk about a lot of stuff. We're very picky.
Yes, we are.
And Mrs. Wilson is very patient with us. One of the things that we talked about too was, I was just, based on, we have this wonderful maintenance plan now that we're moving forward with, that she was mentioning the spreadsheet that has the different major projects on there. I was just trying to kind of crosswalk that maintenance plan with the stuff we're seeing on the docket, and that's super helpful to be able to see how those things marry up in real time, so thanks for doing that.
Mrs. Wilson, thank you and your team for providing us with all the information we asked for and then some.
Yes.
So we do have a motion and a second to approve the accounts payable docket. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and abstain. Next on the agenda is our donations. Mrs. Donna Wilson.
I'm back again, sorry. President Killian, Superintendent Hayworth, members of the board, in tonight's board packet, there are 2 donations. One for Benjamin Franklin Elementary School from Donors Choose for a ukulele program at Ben Franklin. And a second contribution from Sarah Scott Middle School for a substantial memorial contribution from Dr. Krishna and Mrs. Aruna Namburi. And we respectfully request your approval to accept those donations.
I'll make the motion to accept the donations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the donations. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
We just appreciate their generosity, accept it with gratitude.
I hope we hear the ukuleles at a board
I
meeting.
know.
Yeah, I want
We have a motion and a second to approve the donation request. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And abstain. Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Next, we have new business, the personnel report and professional leave request. Mr. Michael Cox.
President Kelly, Superintendent Hayworth, member of the Board of Trustees, administration seeks approval of the personnel and professional leave report as presented this evening.
I'll make a motion to accept the personnel report and professional leave request.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Cox, thank you for always presenting that to us and that we take the time to read through it. And it's always easy, it kind of gets easy to find what we're looking for in that report because it's always so concise and in order, so.
I have a good team behind me.
You have a wonderful team. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, and abstain. Thank you. Next, we have the One America Basic Life Insurance and Long-Term Disability Renewal. Mr. Cox.
President Killian, Superintendent Hayworth, members of the Board of Trustees, administration seeks approval this evening of One America's proposed 10% increase to the paid life, accidental death and dismemberment coverage for the next 12 months. Also, along with that is the long-term disability policy, would also increase it to 10% for the next 12 months. The reason for these increases are based off of utilization.
Sorry, say that again?
The reason for those increases are based off of utilization of our employees.
Oh.
So the recommendation from Maurice Sutton, our associates, in Division of Brown & Brown, is to accept the proposal for this year.
My assumption would be that if the increases continue, that we'd send out an RFP and just make sure it's market rate.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion and a second to open comment?
I'll make a motion to approve One America Basic Life Insurance and Long-Term Disability.
Second.
Thank you for the motion and the second. Are there any public comments at this time? I have not had anything signed up or given to me. So we'll move on to the board. Are there any other questions or comments?
Do most of our folks take these policies out? Are they, I know life insurance and long-term disability are necessary across.
We provide to our employees that we hire basic life.
Okay, so everyone takes that, and then
That's for all
also
our
the
employees.
long-term
This is
disability.
board only, unless it's an early retiree increase.
Okay.
This is board contribution only.
per employee.
At this time, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye to accept the One America Basic Life Insurance and Long-Term Disability Renewal.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and abstain. Thank you, Mr. Pop.
Thank you.
Next, we have the strategic plan and information technology update. Mr. Doug Miller.
Good evening, President Goya, Dr. Hayworth, and members of the board. I'm here tonight to present Department Spotlight, highlight our department. Before we do that, I would like to frame the conversation around our strategic plan and kind of highlight what it is, the target that we're shooting for. And I have it on the screen here now to engage and inspire students with digital learning opportunities. And so that's the goal there. And so how do we do that? We would like to, highlight the one-to-one program, how we've deployed equipment to our students. Another actionable item there is to deliver technology-rich content to our students. These are some goals that we shoot for each day. And as we look back, I'd kind of like to, with the next slide, look at some of the things that we've accomplished over the last couple of years. And so how did this start? Where did we begin? Well, we began with a committee of 20 people. Some of you were on that committee to decide what our one-to-one program looked like and what the platform was. The committee ended up choosing Google as the platform that we would use, and so Chromebooks it was at that point. We had many opportunities there, but that's where the committee decided to go. We deployed Chromebooks to teachers shortly after that. We needed a system to manage our devices, the software that was on them. The Google Admin Console is how we do that. We can push out software to all of our devices in short order. It's really exciting to see, but we do that through the Google Admin Console, and that's something that we needed to put in place and configure so we could manage our devices. We also decided that we needed to build put a team together that would vet the applications that were going to be on our devices. And so we've done that to implement a Chromebook repair plan. We accomplished that. To put into place TRTs, technical resource teachers in each building that would be willing to support Chromebooks. And so we have a team in place now. As I mention these things, I'm just really overwhelmed with the amount of support that we have, not just in the IT department to meet these goals, but outside of that, in our schools, our teachers, our communities have just really helped out. And so I'll continue along with the wireless network that was implemented to support these some 15,000 devices. We soon realized that our internet was not what it needed to be to support these, so we multiplied our service by 10 times, and now we have 10 gig service, internet service. Another thing that was necessary was a content filter, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit, of how we have content filtering on all of our devices, whether they're on site or away in homes. And so we needed to create Google accounts for all of our students. Again, I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth through the presentation. Chromebook deployment for our students, and I think back on that as an overwhelming time, but also quite fond thoughts, and thinking about pallets of Chromebooks out on sidewalks as parents drove through, and we had devices out, checking those devices out, handing them in the cars. Really a pretty cool thing to see. So neat to look back on that time. We needed to come up with some processes to track and lock devices that were lost and stolen. That was completed. We needed to inventory each of these devices, and so we have that completed. And here recently, I came to you this summer, and we talked about a fee structure and how we needed a fee structure to put on these devices as we damaged them. And so that process was also, I'll give you an update on it here in a little bit, but it's in place now. So those are some things, so kind of a walk down memory lane there that we've accomplished. And so it takes people and it takes processes. And I thought this was a neat logo graphic here that has people and processes in place. And so I'd like to talk just a little bit about, let's start with where our data is. Where is our data? And so how much data do we have in the county versus how much of our data is hosted outside? Not really a whole lot of data we have in the county. We have Follett, that's our, Judy would argue with me that that's not much data. That's all of our Chromebooks, all of our books, all of our assets that we manage is in Follett, and that's on a server there at the McLean building. Our badge system, the ID badge system, is hosted there at the McLean building. Our milestone video is hosted there at the McLean building. Our voicemail is there, our phone system. SafeQ, that is the system that we use to print, that's in the McLean building. And all of our Microsoft documents, those that use the thin clients and save documents in the Microsoft format or front office, all of that data is there. Now we have a backup system for all of this content, and we have a redundant backup system in this building. So we have a backup at the McLean building as well as a backup system here. So that's our data that we have local. And I really get kind of excited about this graphic and how we have moved so much of our content outside that we don't host, that we have in the hands of systems for folks that care for the data for us. And I'd like to start with Skyward. Skyward is our main system that we track student records with. All right, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about that, but that's our student data. That's on Skyward. And our AS400 is also not in-house anymore, but we pay to have that system hosted. It was a concern that if there was a problem with our AS400, the repair time was concerning. You know, how do we get parts? Well, let's put this on a company to take care of for us that has parts and that has multiple AS400s that they could put our data on it and keep us going. And so our website is not here any longer. Our Google accounts are all hosted. Our RDS app, that is our employee records, and we have a General Services Help Desk work request program on the RDS app. Mojo is how we do our help desk tickets. Versatrans, that data is not here. That's our transportation software. It's being taken care of down in Boca Raton, I believe, South Florida. Mosaic is our cafeteria program, as well as school messenger. So we have a lot of our services are offloaded from Vigo County now. And so Skyward, let's talk about Skyward and kind of wrap our minds around that. When a new family comes to town and they walk into a school and register a student, that information goes into Skyward, okay? And so we enter the student's name, all the information that goes along with the student we put there, and we also keep attendance as we go along, enrollment, grades, schedules, discipline, state reports. That's all saved in Skyward. That's the central data for our students. That's our Skyward student information system. From Skyward, we take that same information, and so you think about, that's the information going in. What comes out of Skyward? From Skyward, we build all kinds of accounts. Canvas, So if a student is enrolled today, tomorrow they'll have a Canvas account, because we take that student information from Skyward and build that account in the evening. We also create Google accounts in the evening from exports from Skyward. VersaTrans, we transfer that information out of Skyward and we give it to the transportation department in the evening. We roster data to our digital content vendors, all of our book vendors, that we need to get accounts for our students so that they can have access to the digital tools. We take our Skyward information and give it to different vendors, and I'll show you a list of those here shortly. But food services also, this is all automated in the evening, okay? And so we can see that bottom line on that bar shows data going back into Skyward, okay? Grades, our staff, our teachers put grades in. It's stored in Skyward. Attendance is placed in Skyward each day. State results are put in there when we receive them. And so all this information is going in Skyward and out of Skyward. And so it's really an in-depth system and neat to see. This is the list of digital content vendors that we have. This was not a list. This is a list that's new, okay? We didn't used to roster data before one-to-one. And so now that we have devices to students, we need to provide accounts for them to be able to access their books. And so this is a list of vendors that we communicate with each day by exporting data out of Skyward. Now I'd like to talk about some of the people. Lori Peters is a longtime employee of Vigo County. She works for both IMC and IT. We're gonna, these two groups have really become one over the last several years. IMC has really just become a part of IT. And Lori takes care of the payroll for our department, shipping and receiving, anything that comes in, she tracks. Software renewals she takes care of. She takes care of parts ordering, putting on POs. That's Lori. She takes care of those things for us. Becky Williams works with Lori as well as Judy, and she catalogs books, repairs books, and she sends out book sets to teachers from the IMC collection. And so, next Judy, I said a little bit ago, we don't have a whole lot of data in the county, but Judy would disagree because we have a catalog of 475,000 books in Fallen, as well as the 90,000 electronic textbooks. And so we have Chromebooks, musical instruments. There's a lot of information that we have in Fallen. Chromebooks don't just keep working on their own. We have to keep on, right? We're breaking them every day, and this kind of shows the graphic in the middle of a broken Chromebook and how the TRT will look at it. The TRT, that's our technical resource teacher in the building. If it's more than they can take care of, they send it to IT. We'll evaluate that. And if it's something that we need to get repaired, we have a company that we send those off to for repair. We shoot for a 3% inventory in the buildings. And so if a new student were to come in tomorrow at whatever school, there should be a Chromebook there for them. If there's a broken device for a student, they should have one there to take. Now, there have been times when we've had a rush, 10 of them break in a day, and it might take a day or so to get another device out there. But Laura Hampton takes care of this process, and we're real proud of the work Laura is doing here to keep our Chromebooks going. This is Lynette Stewart. Lynette works at the help desk. She takes calls from anyone, and she asked me if I would put her extension up there, 11999. Lynette likes to take the phone calls. She loves to talk to people. And so anybody with an account problem, if you've lost your password, you need help, Lynette is the one to call. And she's also kind of a traffic director. If someone doesn't know what they need, call Lynette, and Lynette will direct them to the person that can assist them. So, Dave, I put Dave's picture next to this graphic of our Skyward, because Dave is really the one behind all this. Dave has built that. He has automated things that happen every day, every evening. And so, real proud of the work that Dave is doing, and he's doing a great job with our Skyward. Zach is I'd say a fairly new employee, but he's been with us over a year now. He takes care of our virtual machines, our thin clients. He supports our Lysoft system, that's the printing software, and he does our backups. We have 52 servers there at the McLean building that he takes care of. Zach can just make a system do about anything you need it to do. I mentioned a while back in a conversation, I said something like, well, it'd be nice if we could take our Chromebooks and print to our copy machines. Boy, it was no time before Zach had that working. When long after that, I mentioned, it would be nice if we could email ourselves from our copy machines. Well, wasn't long before scanned email was there. Zach figured it out and had it set up on all of our systems. So Zach's doing a lot of really good work. Again, you'll hear me say I'm proud of these guys. They're really top notch. I compare them with any IT department around. Like I said, just so pleased to work with such a group. Kerry and Ryan. Kerry is a longtime employee of Vigo County. He's worked with us for 35 years, and he's looking this December to retire. And he told me, Doug, no, when I retire, I'd really like to retire. And I get phone calls, and so I respect that. So Ryan is a computer service technician for the district, and Ryan is trying to absorb all that he can from Kerry. We're transitioning here. They see between, well, it's about 4,000 wired devices each day at one time, any one time, and 9,000 wireless devices. Now that's what we might see at one time. Of course, we can have a whole lot more than that, but this is an average. They support the switches, all the network infrastructure, the wireless access points. That's the job of the network manager. We have 700 IP phones around, all with call menus, voicemail. That's supported by our network manager, Carrie and Ryan. And so, content filtering. Content filtering is interesting, right? 500 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube every minute around the world. So you think about the content that's going to YouTube. 500 hours a minute. So how do you analyze that amount of data? Well, you can't, right? It takes an artificial intelligence to do that. And so we have a program called Lightspeed Filter that does that. And George is our internet security manager, and he runs that machine. He makes sure that our students are safe, that the traffic that comes in is safe. He manages a firewall that keeps the bad guys out and allows the good traffic in and out. And so that's the job of George. And so Eric, you'll see many of the flat screen displays have gone up around the county. We have about 500 in now. Eric is working to install these in every classroom. We have about 600 projectors still left. And so we're working towards replacing all of those projectors for flat screens in the classrooms. They've been really well accepted, and Eric is working hard to do that day in, day out. And again, we look back to our strategic plan, and that's where we're getting our direction for where we're going here. Angie takes care of our software. She supports our reading programs. She trains users, she rosters student data. She's right in the trenches there with the software each day. She's our software specialist. And these three guys are our first contact. They are in the classrooms. They deployed Chrome boxes into every classroom here recently. Gone through every classroom and replaced the computers. And that was the work of these fellows. So we have 1,200 new Chrome boxes with document cameras, new flat screens on the desks of all of our teachers, as well as they support our 350 thin clients that are in our offices and take care of our printers. They're just the jack of all trades there. And so those are the people and the systems of the IT department. Are there any questions?
Well, you need a full page photo. Very impressive and somewhat overwhelming.
Great, it's a great group of folks.
Outside of your personnel, what would you say is the most consuming part of your budget?
Oh, that's a good question. We have dumped a lot of money into Chromebooks, right? And so that would certainly top personnel. In the last few years, we've spent, I believe, $6 million or so. I would have to look at that. But yeah, it would be the Chrome hardware that we've put in the hands of the students. And so that would be our heaviest investment here recently. And so, you know, they've been out there, we're working on our third year from deployment. And so now it's time to start thinking about where we're going to go from here and when we're going to start refreshing those. And so we have been deploying Chromebooks to our kindergartners, and they've come along, and the students will take them from one grade to the next, so they maintain the same devices as they're moving along. But yeah, it's time to start thinking about when we're going to deploy new ones. And so they're holding up really well. I tell you, we've brought the senior devices back in after graduation, and we've cleaned them up, and those are the ones that we're sending out to replace the broken ones. And we're going through them. It looks like they're going to hold up through the year. You know, that amount will take us on through this school year. Yeah, that's where it's been. It's been in the Chromebooks. And so.
Well, I'm sure I'm grateful that the kindergartners don't take them home. That's mine.
They don't take them home much in first grade either, so that's good.
Chromebook Day is a big deal in our house. We hear about it. So anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Next on the agenda are policies approval, Superintendent Hayward.
Really, we have excuse me, two sections to deal with. Under 4, these would be policies that we would be moving forward tonight for approval. Under section 5, this would be second reading. So what I would entertain is at least a motion and a second so that we can discuss all 4 of those policies with a revision to one.
I move approval of the policies as presented.
I'll second that.
And that's just for section 4, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any, do we take public comment first? At this time in section 4, I do not have anything for public comment. I do have one for section 5. So are there any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I would speak to staff, student relations. After our policy meeting, we did receive some information back from the Teachers Association. They did have some concerns that I think that I tried to address, but if you would look on page 2 of 3 of that policy, one issue, and this issue deals with inappropriate grooming behavior that a staff member might use inappropriately with a student. And so if you look at A on page 2 of 3, you will see an example of hugging, kissing, or other physical conduct with a student. Well, if you've ever been in an elementary school, hugging is a byproduct of random kids coming up and just giving you a hug. And so teachers wanted some sense of how we are going to address that in a policy, because obviously there are good hugs and there are bad hugs. And so what we have added to A is hugging, kissing, or other physical conduct with a student at inappropriate grade levels to address that concern. If you will go down to item J, this deals with privacy of students, so privacy in a bathroom situation or privacy in a locker room situation. And the concern came from the teacher: what happens if a fight breaks out in the bathroom or an issue is happening in the locker room? What protection would we have as teachers to make sure that we go in and address that appropriately? So we have added except when enforcing school rules. K really speaks to maybe the smaller nature of our school corporation, going to a student's home for non-educational purposes. Well, we have staff members who are related to parents of our students. We have staff members who go to church with our parents of our students. So we wanted to make sure that no one felt uncomfortable, and so we put in a caveat: unless the staff member has outside of school friendship relationships with parent/guardian. And M, the teachers just wanted to address holidays versus Christmas. They wanted to remove O because they believe it could also be found under P. And you look at providing advice to or counseling a student, again thinking of grooming behavior. It's also the role of several of our staff members is to provide that advice. They thought that letter P effectively dealt with that. So I'm recommending policies under item 4 of the agenda, A, B, C, and D, be accepted as presented and modified here tonight in staff-student relations.
I can speak from recent experience, having been in one of our elementary schools. The kids just are happy, want to run up and hug you. I think 3 different kids I've never met, as soon as they saw me, just ran over to give me a hug. And it almost made me choke up because it was just so sweet. But there was nothing inappropriate about that, just being happy kids.
Yeah, they're huggers. They like that physical contact. Connection. I think that's great.
I think the amendment's appropriate. Yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate the teachers also suggesting the amendments very much. I think those are very appropriate.
So this is for all or just A?
We're just doing for
A, B, A through D. A through D, okay. We do have a motion and a second to approve the policies listed under section 4, A through D. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And abstain. Thank you. Now we move on to our second reading for the following policies.
the second reading. A policy committee will meet. They will go over last month's policies that's been brought to them, but then also bring a set of policies forward. Tonight, we're bringing 4 policies forward. One dealing with public participation at board meetings, graduation requirements, required ADM counts for the purpose of state funding, and school calendar. This would be a second reading, so no action being taken here tonight. It if approved to move forward, we would do the exact same process. We would take those to our Teachers Association or any other group within the school family to get their input on these policies. So I think we would need a first and a second to open up discussion.
I'll move approval of moving these policies to second reading, or approving them.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for the second reading approval for the policies A through D. At this time, I do have a request for public comment on the policy 0167.3 from Debbie Considine.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is a policy on public participation at board meetings.
Could you remind us of the time limit, Mrs. Madam President?
3 minutes, I'm looking at the policy.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. I'll remind you at 30 seconds, okay?
Thank you. I have a question about section E and some questions about words in G1 and G2. On section E, it says each statement by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes. Now, there are times when in a meeting there are calls for comments several times. Does that mean that somebody at a meeting can make only one comment during a meeting, or can they make comments on each call for comments? That's my first question. And on G1, I have concerns about the word frivolous. I know if you come to a school board meeting, you're not doing this to be frivolous. You're making a comment because it's something that's near and dear to your heart. And the question I have about repetitive, are you saying repetitive by the same person or repetitive remarks by multiple people? I'm going to give an example of maybe at the Meadows hearings that people made the same comment about the same things. Could that be limited by the school board? Because for me, if people make the same comment, that gives me more weight that there is an actual problem. And going to G2, I have a question about the word irrelevant. Now, would that be, like specifically, if I said something other than about any of these 4 policies, would that be considered irrelevant and I can be told not to say that? Or does that apply to any general comments that I might make in the general comments section? Because again, if I'm coming to a school board meeting and I'm going to talk about something about school board, I'm not sure why you consider that irrelevant. Thank you.
Could we,
Where is it irrelevant?
yeah, multiple things that are not included in this policy, though. The frivolous and repetitive have been stricken.
Right.
Yes.
And,
It's under H2, irrelevant is the last.
I see it, I see it.
To me, irrelevant would be at the inopportune time. So if it's brought up during the agenda and it should be in general comments, then that would be made at that time.
right.
And then irrelevant general comments would be something that doesn't pertain to the school corporation or something that we cannot discuss in public, like personnel.
Or has nothing to do with the school corporation or school board. We saw that when people would get up and talk about other, other governmental entities that had nothing to do with our school board or school corporation.
The work that we do.
Would it also be under if that person is not a citizen living in our corporation or having a student within our corporation? Would that be considered as well?
Possibly.
Those are great questions for the policy committee to come
Yeah.
back to.
But frivolous and repetitive were stricken.
Yeah, those two
from
words.
Right, those
the
are
policy.
already taken out of those, and it does say 3 minutes.
Yeah, it does say
not
3 minutes.
5.
Also, I mean, my understanding is, I mean, if you have something to say about, because the way we have it set up, in the agenda, you take, the public comment comes after the presentation and the motion's been put out. If you have something to say about 2 different things, you're gonna come up and speak 2 different times. We're not gonna say you can't do that because we're specifically dividing it up that way. And maybe we need to make that more clear, but to me,
It doesn't mean 3 minutes cumulative during the entire meeting.
Well, in years past, it would have been, because we used to take public comment at the beginning for agenda items, and then at the end for general comments.
But that's
So,
not how we do
but the
it.
way we set it up now is much better.
It gives more time.
That allows more time, for those agenda item comments. Because you're not gonna be limited to 3 minutes for the agenda.
Yeah, I think we should clarify that just there, and then that should, I think that takes care of that.
Well, and I could speak to some of the meetings we did have where there were multiple comments. We did ask if they were essentially the same thing to try to limit just being considerate to people's times, but we did not stop anyone from speaking, even if it was the same.
Unless it was inappropriate.
Unless it was inappropriate, yes, but I feel that the board has done a good job of really trying to give citizen input and comment in our comment section.
We encourage it.
Good conversation, good things to look at.
I mean, it is harsh, may sound harsh, but I think it should read the presiding officer shall instead of may. I don't think any of those things should be allowed.
Where are you at,
On H, where it says the presiding officer may, so just is like, well, do I do this or not? I think it should be shall. Just my 2 cents.
And then we don't have an X by number 4, where we're allowed to request, or excuse me, the presiding officer is allowed to request law enforcement if someone is willfully disruptive or interferes with orderly conduct in meeting. Never had to do that before since I've been here. But to me, if that's not checked, we're not allowed to either. So.
Was that just?
And I don't know if that's necessarily true. If the behavior warranted somebody being dismissed, I think you go to the president in charge. I also think maybe the reason we didn't check this, we didn't want to be seen as provoking. That's going to be our charge if you get out of line, but that option we thought still presented itself, whether we check that or not.
Okay. As long as you thought about that.
Yeah.
I appreciate the discussion and the questions from the board and the community on this topic. At this time, we do have a motion for approval and a second. No, let's just go to the second. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just moves it forward.
Just moves it forward, I'm sorry. So do we need to move forward?
Yeah.
All those in favor for moving the policies in section 5A through D forward, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And abstain. Thank you again for the discussion. At this time, we'll move forward to comments, correspondence, and information. Call for citizen comments. I do not have anything at this time. Next, we'll move for the information from Superintendent Hayworth and board members.
The Learning Lab will be hosting its first event on the 14th. I believe that's 4th graders, Dr. Bowler?
Yes, very so true.
Yeah, we'll be going to the Learning Lab, and then that following Thanksgiving, we will be hosting a education/business roundtable at the Learning Lab.
Will the 4th graders be playing with the doors? Is that?
The 4th graders will be playing with some
Or
doors and
working
some-
on some doors. They're not only playing.
and some other items that will be in there.
We had the opportunity to take a look around in there, really cool stuff happening, not the least of which is the adult education has enough space to operate and function much better. I also wanted to mention, I'm sorry, did you?
Go ahead.
I also wanted to mention, I had the opportunity to go to a really great event for Camp Navigate this past week. The After School program received a nice grant from the Center Point Energy Foundation, and they're going to be providing care at the lab, which is close to, I think, Ben Franklin Elementary. So many partners coming together for that. They're going to be serving a meal and taking up space in a place that had been abandoned for a long time. So kudos to Mark Tiffany Baker and all those folks. It was a really, really good event. Excited to see what they'll do.
I I got a text from my wife this morning, and I confirmed it by looking in the newspaper, that's where she saw it, but the West Vigo community lost a former teacher. Mr. Ron LaRoche passed away in April, and it was in the paper today, and there's gonna be a celebration of life. And I had the opportunity to be in his class once. I regret not taking his more challenging courses. He offered some AP courses that high school Hank was a little too chicken to take. But I was in his class once, and just a tremendous and genuine human being. And he meant a lot to a lot of people at West Vigo High School, and he will be dearly missed.
What did he teach?
Social studies.
I would just like to thank Superintendent Hayward and administration for putting on the Superintendent's Leadership Council to have the students come in and report to us monthly. I'm looking forward to it. My son presented, he was very excited and proud. I just think it's really just instilling confidence in public speaking skills and just giving them pride in their school. So thank you to Dr. Hayward and administration for doing that for the students. Are there any committee reports from our board members?
I think you already got them.
That's right.
You saw the policies, don't you?
I will say that the Education Foundation did have their Battle of the Brains event last week. I did get to participate and
almost won.
We did almost, we were in first place until that last round, and some of those questions got us, but it was a wonderful evening, and I believe they want to make it an annual event, so watch out for that if you are interested at all in some great trivia and just a great evening of supporting the Education Foundation and their initiatives in our community for our students.
I had several friends on the winning team, and I'm sure they will come back with vengeance next year. So maybe I'll join them, we'll see.
That would be great. If there's nothing else, our future meeting is Monday, November 14th at 6 p.m. here in the conference center.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Casual check.